anybody can be a good coach, but you got to be able to put in the time, build the relationships.
Absolutely. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Talk Elevation. I'm Michaela Nagel, and today's guest is Coach Todd Matkin, founder and director of Rocky Mountain Rebound. Coach Todd has spent more than 25 years coaching and mentoring athletes, from high school athletics to building one in Colorado's premier club basketball programs. His mission goes far beyond wins and losses. He's passionate about developing great teammates, strong character, and creating opportunities that help young athletes succeed both on and off the court. Coach, thanks for joining me today.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about your journey. Start from the beginning. How'd you first get into basketball?
As we were talking about a little bit before, I'm in education. I'm a teacher, high school teacher at Rocky Mountain High School. Graduated from Colorado State University, and my first teaching job actually was in Alt at Highland High School.
Okay.
A unique little town, one street light. And when I got the job, it was actually a new principal coming in from Iowa. He was a longtime women's basketball coach in Iowa, and he wanted to kind of change the dynamics of sports there at Highland High School at the time. And I date myself, that's almost 27 years ago now going on. So, but he brought me in, and it was late May, as the year's winding up, and he said, I've got a teaching job for you, but I need you to take over the girls' basketball program.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how it all began. I took over a program that had struggled for quite a while, and we had some good success. It was an eye-opening experience. Not many of the players had done anything competitive in the world since then, and I remember I was a week out before our first camp and came in with all these lofty ambitions, and I remember the players just stared at me. And the one part that really stood out was our first game 5 days later was at UNC, the women's basketball camp there, and sure enough, they put us on, because they try and rotate all the teams through.
Yeah.
We were on the main court at Butler Hancock, and for these girls, it was a funny story that right during the pregame, we drew up some stuff, made sure everybody was on the same page, and the players walked out about 5 feet and then turned around and looked at me, and they're like, Coach Matkin, the lines out here don't match the lines on the board.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh boy, we've got a lot of work to do.
No.
But it was, I wouldn't trade the experience of starting at a small high school for anything in the world. The community was fantastic. The kids embraced, having high expectations, learning to put in time and what it takes to be successful. And then 2 years into that is when the principal said, we're letting our football coach go. And because of your background, we want you to be the head football coach too.
Wow.
And so I did 1 year of head football and head girls basketball. And that was a handful.
I bet.
Thankfully, we didn't have any kids yet at the time. Yeah. But I pretty much lived over at the high school in Alt. Right. And then 5 years of doing that, so 8 or 9 years, Rocky Mountain High School actually had an opening. Ironically, similar situation. We've got a teaching job, and we've got a head girls basketball job for you.
Oh, wow.
And being a graduate of Rocky Mountain High School, it was kind of a dream come true to be able to go back and not just coach at the school that meant so much to me, but also teach at the school that I grew up walking the halls and everything in. And so that's kind of my quick snapshot of getting into basketball, coaching. Then obviously the club world took shape, and I started coaching with Bruce Dick, who is a legend in Colorado basketball folklore and history. And he had me build up the girls side of his club team at the time. Awesome. And then, just kind of fast forward. And now we're here.
A full circle moment.
27 years later, we've got Rocky Mountain Rebound, and we have teams grades 4th grade through 11th grade on both the girls and the boys side now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What has kept you coaching and teaching all these years?
Honestly, with Rocky Mountain Rebound, kind of the vision and the purpose, I think it's just the opportunity to give back. My parents divorced in 5th grade, and so I was the product of a single mom that worked 2 jobs to give me every opportunity, and that was really the agreement, was she'll keep working and I won't have to get a job as long as I stay involved. And so I did football, basketball, baseball. But I saw how hard she worked to give back to me and, give me opportunities to do things. And back then, travel basketball wasn't huge, but there were opportunities to do camps, tournaments, and things like that. And I think that really kind of, cemented the vision I had of giving back to kids.
Yeah.
When I was a head coach at Rocky Mountain High School, we had a junior program that really the goal was help teach the kids a foundation before they got to me in high school, but also give them a platform that was high expectations, competitive, and developmental without the high price tag of things. And so that was kind of the starting point there of finding a way to give back to kids. And then after that, I stepped away, time to give dad back to my own kids. And my daughter, who is just finishing her third year at Colorado Western, or Western Colorado, I should say, is playing basketball up there, and she was in the junior program at the time.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the junior program, after I left, kind of went away. And so parents asked, they're like, well, what are you going to do with your daughter?
Yeah.
So I don't know, what everybody else does with their kids.
I'm just,
Find a program. And they said, if we can round up some kids, will you coach it? And I said, yes, and I'll volunteer my time to do it.
Yeah.
And so we started with one girls team that was pretty successful early on. And after a year or two of that, others started, inquiring, are you going to have more teams? And at the time, the vision of what it's become was never really the long-term goal. But then back to the principle of giving back.
Right.
So we added a couple more girls teams, couple more after that. And then my son, who just graduated from Rocky Mountain High School, is actually going up to Western Colorado to play basketball now as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was coming up and, he goes, well, Dad, if there's a team, at the time we were known as Triple Threat, if there's a Triple Threat team, why isn't there a boys Triple Threat team? And you can't argue with the kids.
You're like, okay, well, let's get the boys
and I looked
in
at my wife as well, and I said, she goes, yeah, you're going to have to answer that one on your own. And so we started the boys side, much like the girls side, with one really strong team that we started with. And then once again, inquiry about the opportunities. But we've always brought on coaches that have shared similar visions. Probably for the longest time, we all volunteered to help keep the costs down for great players and great families. And, now here we are today with a girls side and a boys side, and awesome opportunities, doing our best to keep costs down still for families. But as Mike and I were talking about, on our girls side and with our boys side, the first group that really graduated was our 25 boys, and now our 26 boys finishing up things. We've been pretty blessed, and to have probably close to about a 90% placement rate.
Wow,
for
that's
players
awesome.
beyond high school. And I know, people want to say that's, it's great and fantastic, but I really always want to give the credit back to the players and the families that trusted us, put in the time, invested in the process, and they get all the credit. I just get the benefit of working with good kids and good families. So.
Right, absolutely. So what is the long-term goal for Rocky Mountain Rebound?
I would love to see it continue as long as possible, whether I'm still involved at some point or I'm sitting on the sideline mentoring coaches. I coach our 17 and under national boys team now and our 15 and under national boys team. And my youngest son is on our 15 and under team. But my wife jokes all the time. She's like, even when you're done coaching, Todd, you're not going to be done coaching.
You're not ever done.
No. But I just want to be involved with kids.
Yeah.
And so if, long term, if somebody else is putting in the time organizing and everything, I would love to just continue to mentor coaches, share our purpose. We use the word purpose a lot with our players when they come out, their actions. What is your purpose? What do you want to do? And I would hope to kind of translate that into young coaches with our philosophy, with our schemes that, anybody can be a good coach, but you got to be able to put in the time, build the relationships.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. Before we move on, let's talk about something every serious athlete needs to pay attention to: your digital footprint. Fan-Day Nation has just released a powerful new tool to help athletes make sure their social media profiles are fully optimized and recruit ready. Today, coaches aren't just evaluating game film, they're evaluating character, leadership, and maturity online. This resource gives you a step-by-step roadmap to clean up your profiles, highlight your strengths, and avoid common mistakes that can cost opportunities. If playing at the next level is your goal, don't leave your online presence to chance. Go check it out now at fandaynation.com. Well, let's talk a little bit more about it. Rocky Mountain Rebound emphasizes accountability, selflessness, and family. Why are those values just as important as basketball skills?
I think those values are everything in the world today, from being a good teammate on the floor to how you represent yourself in your workplace and your relationships, within your family. Those values are never changing.
Right.
And, even on good days, bad days, you always have control over your attitude, your effort, how you present yourself. And I think that's something we talk about all the time. We always close our huddles out with family on three. And we truly do mean that. That's kind of, our purpose is we want kids to feel value, because sometimes being on the basketball court or around their friends and their peers, that's the best family they've got at the time in the situation. And I think the more they understand that, the chemistry, the trust, both on and off the floor, creates not just good teammates, but better people, in everything they do.
Yeah. Why is sports so important to especially young athletes in today's age?
For one, I think it's a great outlet from the pressures that society puts on them.
Right.
You can leave your issues at the door, or do your best to leave your issues at the door. You're surrounding yourself by others that have similar interests. I think when you look at the real world outside of sports, you talk to most employers, some of the people that are most likely to be hired, or at least trained for jobs, are those that have had successful experiences with sports, because they've learned to cooperate and work well with one another.
Absolutely. What makes Rocky Mountain Rebound different from other programs, if you're looking for another program?
I think obviously, the emphasis on family,
Yeah.
Selflessness. If you look at our social media, our players truly embrace celebrating one another. If they see a teammate post a video or a highlight or a picture or an accolade, our players are the first to repost or retweet to celebrate one another, which I think is pretty unique, and it really encompasses that family atmosphere. I think the other part is, I was a coach before I was a parent and a family member, and so I think having been a coach and then a family person that's had kids kind of come through the process of this, I think adds some extra value to parents and families, knowing they're in a situation where this guy's done this.
Yes.
He's been on this ride before. So there's that trust with that. I think the other aspect is, having been a high school coach for so long as well, we really try and do our best of blending, running schemes with the freedom to play as well, which I think translates really well to the next level, that college coaches enjoy watching, that our kids are, able to execute plays, execute schemes. When we travel, I know a lot of programs, go to these big events, but they place a lot of the pressure or opportunity on families. Like, we're going to play in Kansas City. We'll meet you there, get your kids there, and we'll play.
Yes.
We really want it to be a maturing and growing opportunity for our players, because if they're going to play beyond high school, they're going to travel as a team. They're going to room with teammates. Yeah. And so we travel as a team. We organize all of our team travel, because not every family can afford to have a parent go with a kid, which then doubles the expense for a family as well, to find 2 flights for airfare, hotel for the parent and the kid. And so we place a lot of that responsibility or opportunity for those kids to learn some individuality, some accountability for themselves and their actions, to take care of themselves on the road while we're traveling to room with a teammate, which I think translates again into what's going to happen to them if they play beyond high school.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
We're proud to celebrate women who lead on and off the court. Nico Stones welcomes new brand ambassador Sophie Zidell, a standout basketball player at the University of Colorado. Her exclusive edits is all about confidence, strength, and the style that moves with you. Support women in sports and shop Sophie's limited collection now at nicostones.com.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys do that because not a lot of programs do. Like you said, they kind of like, yep, figure it out, just go.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see you there.
Yeah, exactly. So about 85 to 90% of your graduating athletes have gone to receive opportunities, like you mentioned earlier. What does this mean for you guys and all your coaches just to see that?
I think it's just a testament to the commitment of the coaches to give back. I've been blessed to coach, players that have gone on to Stanford, CU, South Dakota, Northern Colorado, all the way down through. We've had players, girls, and now the boys that are scattered through the RMAC, which, is a great testament. We've had junior college players at Northeastern Junior College, NAIA schools, both on the girls and boys side now that, it really provides an opportunity. And the bottom line is if you're good enough, they'll find you.
Yeah.
And for us, it's just, and for me personally, I just enjoy seeing the opportunities because I know a lot of what we're able to do, I couldn't have done as a kid growing up with that. And so, like I said, give credit to those players for investing, in the purpose of what we're trying to do. And so that's my enjoyment there. So I still give them all the credit for putting in that time to be successful as well.
Absolutely. What's the hardest part, do you think, about the recruiting process that you've seen firsthand?
It's changed so much.
Yeah.
Even just in the last couple weeks, I feel like the girls' side and the boys' side are a little different with things. For the longest time, there was always an April viewing period. There was a May viewing period. Then there was 2 in July. But with the recruiting, the transfer portal now, NIL opportunities, they did away with the live viewing period in April for the boys' side. The new 5-year recruit, 5 years now from the time you're 19 makes it difficult. If a player reclasses before they get into high school and they're 19 before their high school season, their high school senior season starts, now their 5-year clock is already rolling, even though they're still a senior in high school. And so, just the dynamics of that has changed. Obviously, social media and the opportunities to, spread your ability out, to be visible to others has changed. I think, kids that put in the time to do their highlights and, post things after events, or at least, it's kind of like fishing. You're just putting as much out there bait-wise to try and
you can,
see where you can snag the school of fish. And then obviously I think for us, I think the reputation and success we've had at least makes it a more appealing opportunity for college coaches because they know what kind of players they're getting when they get, a rebound player from us.
Yeah. You mentioned the word visible. I just want to go back to that. What bait can they give out? What can these athletes do to get more seen?
There's so many events out there now, and I think that's, probably watered down the situation so much. Our players, our high school teams, we use Huddle. So all of our players have access to Huddle. We get all of our games, recorded. The kids can go back and make their highlight films, download full game films. I think, when you look at the events, I think the best opportunity, obviously, for parents and kids is where are you willing to go to? We utilize a platform called Field Level.
Okay.
It's a free platform. Obviously, like any platform, there's bells and whistles that they can do to it. For some families that can't afford it, that's the best option because it at least is a free, start to post. It's like a Facebook of social media or recruiting. But, there's other opportunities and platforms out there as well. In CSA, I know they call on a lot of players and families and they do some platform stuff. I think, but the players that we have, that we've seen that have had the most success utilize Twitter or X, what it's called now.
Right. It's always going to be Twitter, I feel
I
like.
know, in my eyes, it'll always be Twitter. But between Twitter, Huddle, obviously the recruiting platforms, there's a lot of different ones. And I tell, families ask all the time, what's the best one? And, I tell them that we utilize field level, but if you have the means to utilize some other ones,
right.
It's just like buying the best bait.
Yep.
There's no guarantees with it. Bottom line is the only guarantee is how good are your kids' grades? What's their characters or their character like, on and off the floor, and then if they have the ability. And we found with a combination of those things and being high character kids with good grades, there's a lot of academic scholarships that schools can package with athletic opportunities to make it possible for kids.
That's awesome. Switching gears a little bit, I just want to talk about you and how have you grown as a coach over the years, and what's the biggest lessons you've learned so far?
I think growing up, I played for Sonny Lubick at CSU, so I learned from one of the greatest just people person coaches, and I've always tried to apply some of those principles along with I was probably old school when I first started with everything, and it's this way or the highway, and I think just like we ask players to be adaptable to situations, I think that's probably the biggest growth aspect for me is learning to adapt. Generations are different. Not every kid you coach is the same way. Some kids thrive on, firm and demanding. Others, you might need to be, a little more complimentary or, a little more patient with a kid. And I think that's, over the course of 27 years, that adaptability part is probably the part that I think has helped me continue to grow as a coach and be better for my players.
Yeah. What do you think separates a good coach from a great coach?
I think a lot of people would probably say wins and losses, and obviously in the competitive club world of things, sure you want to win.
Yeah.
You want to compete.
Of course.
Any natural competitor wants those things. But, we talk about with our players after the games, especially as I've evolved as well, a couple things. Did you learn from the game? If even in a loss, if you're not learning from a loss, then we truly are losing. But if you can correct some mistakes from a game, then you're still winning.
Yeah.
Let's show that in the next game. And then we ask, are you having fun? Are you enjoying your teammates? If a player can walk away from a game or a practice, did you have fun? Did you learn? Yeah. And if we're doing those things, we're being successful with what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. One more question for you before I let you go is, where do you see Rocky Mountain Rebound over the next 5 years, and what impact do you hope the program continues to have on Colorado basketball?
I think, in 5 years from now, hopefully I'm still coaching in some aspect.
Right, of course.
Sometimes it's nice to be at the end of the bench, and being that voice at the end of the bench that can help explain a situation to a kid, that the head coach might not have time to do. But I want it to continue to have the foundation of providing a high-level opportunity, affordability, especially for kids that, may or may not be able to, do some of the other things that are out there. And I think just the longevity of being that successful platform that genuinely cares, that has family values within the program, that knows that you're in good hands, and it's not to say we're perfect by any means. Right. We're constantly trying to improve and do things, but that families walk away, saying that, Coach Todd or the coaches, within Rocky Mountain Rebound put in their all to make a difference in my kid.
Yeah.
And I think probably the best compliment I get is when players reach back out to me after they've moved on, or I get the graduation and cards, from players that are way further away from my home, or the impact or the wedding invite to come to things like that. I think that for me, if we can continue that type of connection, relationship with players and families, I hope goes on for years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, can you tell everyone where they can find you guys online, social media, otherwise?
Yeah, we have a website, RockyMountainRebound.com. You can also find me on Twitter under RM Rebound, Coach Todd, as well as Instagram it's at RM Rebound as well. So we post all of our updates, all of our videos, all of our accolades of our players and stuff on those social media platforms. And yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be sure to keep an eye out. Lost my words there.
I appreciate it. I'm excited to work together with you guys, and anything
absolutely.
I can do to help, let me know.
Us too. Well, thank you, Coach Todd, and appreciate having you on the show. And we hope to see you next time on the Talk at Elevation, you guys.
Likewise. Thank you.
Of course.